Welcome to Poema Backstage. Poema Arts Incorporated serves as a training ground for individuals who seek to develop their craft in a cutting-edge, biblical, and Christ-centered environment where they will be mentored and equipped to excel in their specific discipline to strategically impact the arts community locally, regionally, nationally, and internationally. That is Poema. We're here to take you backstage. Luke, we just finished 6 performances of Seussical the Musical.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh.
That was an amazing show.
It was over the top amazing.
I was glad I was able to see it. I came and saw it several times, and it was just, there was so much energy.
Well, it's a show that you can see over and over again and never get tired of it.
Yeah. It was a big turnaround from Similitude, because Similitude was great. It was definitely heavy though. Seussical was just very lighthearted and fun and
colorful and playful, and it just hit the heartbeat of any was a young child or an adult. There were some families that came 4 different times. They just came over and over again just to see it again.
I'm really excited because with this episode, we've actually got a few of the actors who played very significant and just very vibrant characters.
Speaking of that, Rachel Sanders, she's going to be our first guest today, and she played the part of Maisie.
Yeah, Maisie's character was fun. It was very a loud and just vain personality that was
very prideful,
colorful.
Yeah,
and just really captured attention. And I loved her voice too.
And her costume was beautiful.
Yeah.
So Rachel, welcome to Poema Backstage.
Thank you so much. It's a joy to be here.
So you have been in the arts for over 17 years. Can you talk about just where did that start in your life? Where did that passion start?
Before I could even talk, I fell in love with The Sound of Music, the musical, and just wanted to be Maria.
Did you find yourself twirling in the hills at all?
Absolutely. Yes, those little light cotton dresses just twirling in the living room. And then later on, sometime in elementary school, my Uncle Lynn encouraged me to sing for church, and I just thought that was scary. But I'm so glad that he did it, because in my self-consciousness, we often think of that as humility, but self-consciousness is actually consciousness of self. It's actually pride.
That was just a little too deep. Let's take a moment. Say that one more time so we can just process it.
So self-consciousness is actually not humility. It's actually pride, because it's consciousness of self. Okay. And so
go home and reflect on that.
By actually going out there and being willing to put myself out there for whatever people may think can actually be an act of humility and just trusting the Lord
absolutely,
that he's going to use whatever you're offering.
I find that's always a big thing with performers or artists, because identity and performance are linked together in so many ways.
Yes.
It's cool to hear you talk about how that's something that you conquered and really confronted at such an early age.
Oh, and the Lord, it's not just been a one and done. The Lord has been revisiting that throughout my life. And I'm very thankful for the opportunities I've had to work with Christian organizations, to also work with secular organizations, and to have to fight those very dark, competitive environments.
Wow.
Where people are finding their identity in the arts and have to find that community, that godly community, and stand together and say, no, that's not the point of what we're doing. The point of the arts is to communicate truth. It is not to uplift me. Gifts are a gift. They're not mine. The Lord gave it to me. And so with him giving those gifts to each of us, we then have a responsibility and an honor to give that back to him and glorify him with what he's given us.
This has been Rachel Sanders' initial sermon. Follow us next week for the follow-up. It's good.
So Rachel, you have had over 17 years of working main stage productions. Everything from directing, assistant directing, vocal coach, and then also being a cast. I mean, that is like an incredible amount of diversity. And what has that been like in your life, really just juggling all these different types of just talents and abilities?
It's been scary at times and a huge blessing at times, trying at times, mountains and valleys, the whole picture. I was a music education major in college, and so I only had room for one theater course. And in that theater course, the professor said, there are no good beginning directors. And I was like, that's so encouraging, because
Thank you. I'll take that home and cherish it.
It was my senior year of college, and I was directing a production for the first time. And I just had to go into it going, okay, he's right. The first time directing, I'm not going to be the excellent director that I want to be, because you have to have experience under your belt to be a good director. And so I had to walk into those rehearsals with an extremely talented cast with humility and just admit, y'all know some aspects of this better than I do. So let's work as a team, and I'm going to do my best to try and lead, but let me know when I fall short and we can work together and problem solve together.
It's also such an interesting concept because you don't really hear that in the arts at all. Like going back to something you said earlier, everyone's really about building their own platform and pedestal and recognize who I am, not call me out or let me know when I'm out of alignment. So it's just really cool to hear and know that you can operate and find something like that similar to what you did and what you were looking for. So.
And there's so much freedom in that. I think that's why there's so many artists that struggle so much emotionally and mentally. It's because they put that pressure on themselves to be perfect at all times, to perform at all times. And we're never going to be perfect. And as artists, we're always criticizing ourselves, thinking how we can get better. And if that criticism is constructive, good.
Right.
But if that criticism is destructive, that's a problem. And it can be very hurtful to that process you're trying of getting better. If you're constantly criticizing yourself, constantly trying to raise yourself to a standard that's impossible. If it's never good enough, then that's when that really dark place of connecting it with your identity and saying, I'm not good enough.
Right.
It can be really painful. But as believers, we can stand there and go, before I ever touch that stage, I'm loved, I am valuable, I'm enough, because I am a child of God. And that's what matters. That's my identity. And from that place, walk in a place of victory.
Right.
And just know that whatever you put out there, you are trusting that the Lord is going to use it.
So this brings up another question. So you've been a vocal coach for the last 7 years. What has that been like imparting just everything that you've really experienced through all of your training into young children, young people? Just talk about that.
At the beginning, it was hard. Simply because when I was in high school, all I received was praise. And I was going to my teachers and saying, hey, can you tell me how I can grow and get better? Like, thank you, but how can I grow and get better?
Right.
And they didn't necessarily have the tools to tell me this is where you need to grow. So then I go to college and pretty much all I received was criticism. I'm in an environment where I realized, wow,
so you've really, your
talent
whole
is not
identity
rare.
is really being challenged at that point.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so I had to trust the Lord and say, it's not the words of man that define me. And there were times where I was like, I don't want to be a music major anymore. But the Lord was persistent. He said, this is what I've called you to. And so I had to learn to deal with rejection. I had to learn to deal with harsh criticism from people who do find their identity in the arts. And there was a lot of victory, and I have to praise the Lord for that through that journey. But even though there was victory at the end of the day, I still had woundings from operating in that environment for 4 years. And so when the Lord was pressing it on my heart to start a voice studio, I was like, I'm not good enough. I can't do this. And he said, no, like I've empowered you. I've enabled you to do this. I'm asking you to do this. And so I disobeyed. I did not start the voice studio. I had friends come to me and say, hey, would you teach me voice lessons? What do you charge? And so I ended up starting a voice studio just because the Lord had put it on other people's hearts.
So what's been your connection with Poema?
It's kind of a cool story because I didn't know of Poema's existence before I moved to Wake County. I just knew that just because I was moving, that didn't mean that my calling had changed, that the Lord was still calling me to work with a professional theater that uses the arts to communicate the gospel. And so I did a lot of research before I moved here and didn't really feel a connection or a leading to any of the organizations I was looking at, except for one organization that Michael Green had actually worked with for a while, but it wasn't a professional theater. And so I kind of just went out in faith. And I called a career coach who called me back, and he said, I'm not who you're looking for, but you should really contact Michael Green. He has a lot of similarities in the things that you're describing of what you want to do. You should really give him a call. And so it was so encouraging that when we did touch base, to find out that Poema had started rehearsals for their first production the same month that I moved to Wake County. And to hear more of the Green's hearts, and that was just very exciting.
That's awesome. So Seussical the Musical, that was our last production that we just did. So you played the amazing role of Maisie. So talk about that. What was that like playing? Because you did Seussical, you said, when you were younger. Yeah. So that was for your high school
Yes, ma'am.
production. Okay. And you played the role of Mrs. Mayor.
Yes. I was Mrs. Mayor in high school and assistant director in high school.
Okay.
My junior year of high school. And then now getting to play Maisie LeBird, who is a very different character than Mrs. Mayor. It's always a lot of fun to play those very flamboyant characters that are
And you did it
nothing
well.
like you.
I was going to say, because, just hearing you talk about humility earlier and, just.
You played the opposite.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Maisie does not have an ounce of humility
Yeah.
in her
She's
body.
very selfish and prideful and
Yes.
manipulating.
But it's interesting kind of analyzing the script and looking at her pride. I feel probably came from a place of insecurity. And so,
And a lot of times it does
yeah,
in people's lives. Yeah.
she felt the need to go to a doctor to improve herself and to grow this big, amazing tail. And it kind of speaks to, how does she feel about her heart and who she is as a person if she has to put on all these things to make herself amazing? But she was definitely a fun role to play. And roles like that you have to be careful with, because you are temporarily becoming and stepping into a character who has traits that you don't want to take on yourself.
Right.
And so I tried to approach it as, okay, the more that I show her sin, the more I show her flaws, the more the truth of that story is told. You have to see the flaw in Maisie to know that her abandoning her egg is a big problem. And so even when you're playing those roles that you don't necessarily want to be or emulate, that role is important to show the message of, I actually don't want to be like that person. Why is she not valuing her egg? Why isn't she valuing life?
I think it's interesting. That's one thing about entertainment, in education, you explicitly tell people what they should think but entertainment just has a way of, communicating principles and beliefs in a way that you see it played out in front of you. And you really see the motives and the heart behind the individual and how it plays out in their actions. And you see that with Maisie, just the vanity and the loving of her own life and the way that she looks and going to Palm Beach, and there's this egg, and that's not really the life I have planned for myself, completely, right then contrasted with Horton, who's, taking on these extra responsibilities because he cares for others to the detriment of his own safety.
Absolutely. And it's Horton who ends up happy. It's Horton who realizes, these relationships are what's important. And Maisie says 3 times throughout the production how uncontent she is with life. It doesn't matter if she's sitting on the egg. It doesn't matter if she's at Palm Beach being waited on hand and foot. She is still cranky and tired and bored with life.
And looking for the next thing to entertain her. Like
Absolutely.
When the circus comes around, it's like everything is superficial and it can't satisfy. But she's still going on, and that's what so many people do. It's like, they try to find it in a career, they try to find it in a, relationship or some material thing, a car, the music that they listen to, the vacation spots, and it's like anyone in the audience can relate to some degree to any particular character. With Maisie, I think it's easy to relate to the vanity, the, selfishness, the pride, needing to be in control and running from one, source of materialistic.
Circus McGurkus.
Right.
Yeah.
So I just think that was really awesome.
And you played the part so well. I mean, it was, you were just like dazzling.
Thank you. That was actually the first time that I feel like I had a role where it was more movement than dancing, but that was the most focused dancing. I've been a part of a group that's dancing, but she was dancing and singing at the same time, and it was her song. And so I did feel a little insecure about the dance side of things, but I appreciated Chelsea being kind and helping me with that. And so it all worked out.
It was fun. Just like, I was in the sound booth and I'm just listening to the audience's reaction. And like when she sang Horton, the egg's yours, don't thank me, I'll cry with the high note, then down low.
I love that part.
It was so fun listening to the crowd just respond to that.
That was awesome.
We had some great audiences.
Yeah.
They were very responsive.
They were. So talk to us about Teddy Graham.
I was so thankful that y'all let me bring Teddy Graham to the first month or two of rehearsals. He is crated all day while I'm at work.
He's a King Charles Spaniel Cavalier.
Yep, Cavalier King Charles Spaniel. He's a black and tan, and they're supposed to be purely black and tan, but he has this cute little white chest. And so, but anyways, I very much appreciated y'all allowing him to not be crated.
We had to have dog sitters come and take care of Teddy Graham because he wanted to be with his mama.
He also sang with the cast every now and then, especially when she walked from one side of the stage to the other. His notes would go higher, and he was good.
You've had the pleasure of being able to work with several of the Poema cast members through the last performance and this one as well, teaching them vocal. And so now you were also working side by side with them as cast members. So what was that like?
I loved it. It was so great to watch them take principles that we had talked about in similitude and then walk in confidence in them in Seussical and grow in independence with the gifting that they have, and to watch them develop was just very exciting.
I bet.
There was a lot of vocal growth that happened throughout Seussical, and I think it was because the music is so well written. You can tell that the composer for Seussical knows the human voice and knows about the different types of human voices that commonly show up in a cast. And so it was really great to see how well the production was cast, to see different actors in roles that really show off their abilities and giftings, and to watch them do things with their voices that they didn't even know that they can do. It was very exciting.
That's awesome.
A little bit off script, but what was it like? Because you saw similitude and you see people that you've been working with. So what was it like to see that and then step into it, the acting, performing side of it? What was that like?
Well, for me, acting is way less stressful than the instructional or directing side. Okay. And so for me, acting in a production is like self-care because it's just so much fun.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was like, okay, well, we've done the hard work together during Similitude. And then now I get to take a step back a little bit, relax a little bit, and be a part of the cast and just enjoy. Now, having done Seussical, I can't see me not doing future productions of Poema. When I moved to Wake County, I was very burnout because I had just worked tremendously hard in the previous years and was trying to not overfill my plate. But now actually going, okay, well, I'll do a summer stock production, but then I'll step back. But it was actually so life-giving to be a part of the production that I'm like, who cares if I'm busy? It's fine. It's fine.
So we're looking forward to having you back on again and watching the next performance, which is going to be Titanic in 2022. So
not to be confused with the movie.
Exactly.
Very different plots.
Yes, that's right.
Gorgeous music in the musical, and actually based on the stories of people who were actually on the Titanic in the musical. So that'll be very exciting.
Rachel, thank you for being with us today.
Absolutely.
It was great having you.
It's been a
and
pleasure.
Just honestly, just hearing your story and how you feel like that what God has brought you to, and just the reward that the fruit that you're seeing come out of your life and others. So it's just wonderful hearing your testimony.
Y'all are a blessing. Thank you.
I'm really excited about the next guest that we're bringing on here. He's a friend of mine that's actually been in the last 3 performances that Poema has done. And in Seussical, he played a very dynamic character of Genghis Khan Schmidt, the general. The crowd loved him. It was fun to watch. Michael Dial, welcome to the stage, sir.
Thank you very much.
Welcome
good to be here.
to Poema Backstage.
Thank you.
How you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good. It felt like a very long lead up, or maybe kind of like a very long lead up to the show, and then it was like over in the blink of an eye. It was pretty crazy, but that's theater, I guess.
Especially after Similitude.
Like, yeah, that was very.
That was
different.
a never-ending
roller coaster,
right?
Yeah, for sure.
You got rid of the mustache.
I did.
Did you just grow that just for the part?
So I had a beard and a mustache, and then
That's
I was
true.
told that the beard couldn't stay. And
What?
Yeah.
Why?
I guess, generals don't have beards, but they have mustaches.
I guess.
Okay.
So
I guess.
Yeah, I didn't like the mustache by itself. So
I can never do that.
Regrow both,
Okay.
It'll be fine.
Well, the look works for you, so
Thank you.
it's good. First of all, General Genghis Khan Schmidt was just a fun character. Like everything that he did was hilarious.
Right.
Yeah.
But you contrast him to the character of Faithful in Similitude.
Totally different.
Which one of those characters? I feel like this is just not even a fair question to ask. But which one of those two characters was better or more fun for you to portray?
So if we're going more fun, I mean, I'd probably go with Genghis Khan Schmidt's, but it's different, right? Because that's very much not me. That's not my personality. If I had to compare it, being Faithful in Similitude was basically like just me on stage.
Wow.
Kind of, not drawn back, but toned down, kind of even keeled, pretty serious. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree with that.
But then Genghis Khan Schmidt's was very over the top and like very in your face and yelling and
funny.
I'm not very fun. I mean, maybe I am. I don't know.
It's funny because when we were talking with Rachel earlier, you're talking about like when you're acting, there's so many times that you have to portray a character so other than who you are, but you did it so well.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
I did my best.
So what do you think when the crowd is looking at the character of Genghis Khan Schmidt? What do you think they take away from that character?
So I think in the story, he's kind of the person that tries to make Jojo into a person that he's not. The whole point of the story is Jojo is this person who has all these things and he's trying to create his own identity, and everyone's kind of telling him, well, no, you can't do that. You have to be this person. You can't have your own thoughts. And so Genghis Khan Schmidt kind of comes in and tries to really nail that into him. And I mean, finally, of course, Jojo, gets away and he escapes. And
you try to whip him. You try to hit him with
your
whip.
Yes.
Did you enjoy
and then you scratched your back after that with the whip.
Your pause is a little disconcerting, Michael.
No, I didn't enjoy it at all. Absolutely not. No.
Can we just talk about that a little bit more? We have footage of that, sir.
Oh, you do?
Your character was a very prideful character, though.
He was, yes.
Very much so. And didn't want the children to tell you what to do.
No, he very much had his ideas of what was right and what was wrong. And I mean, it was all his ideas.
Yeah.
And anything other than that was not the right thing.
It's funny when you think about Dr. Seuss, just the way he creates characters. First of all, like Dr. Seuss doesn't do anything conventional, but then Genghis Khan Schmidt doesn't like anything that's unconventional. Like he's talking like this one hummed in the shower, this one colored outside the lines.
This one had an opinion.
Yeah, but then you think like Dr. Seuss, do you know some of the names of things that you've come up with?
It is kind of weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
That he created that series of a character out of all the crazy stuff that he's written about.
So when you were first given that role, what was your first initial response?
Well, when we first did the table read, I had no idea what Seussical was about. All I knew was that it was Dr. Seuss. And so we came in and I listened to the song and I was kind of like, okay, I think I can do that. And then I read the lines and I was like, oh, that's very different from the last one. And that's very much away from my personality. But it's really helped me to grow as an actor as well.
I think it's good. It really grows the individual when they have different characters that they're, doing that are opposite of themselves.
Yes.
Because it really gets them out of their box. And it causes them to grow, and they really have to listen to what other people are saying about them, whether, criticism, which is corrective criticism that will always help build them and stuff. So I think when there's diversity, it really builds out and it brings more of the professionalism from the individual.
Yeah, definitely. And me being an introvert, as I grow around people and as I get more comfortable with people, I think some of that comes out in me. Certainly not to that extent. I'm not that crazy and out there, but there are certain aspects of that I do have.
I feel like I know a little bit of this, but that just really begs the question. You're an introvert. How did you get involved with acting and performing? Because performing doesn't exactly say introvert.
Yeah, this is a funny story.
Especially Seussical.
Right.
So the first production we did, which was The Great Day, which was like, 2 years ago, I think, 2019?
Gosh.
Year and a half ago.
Year and a half, something like that. I was originally contacted by one of the Greens to help with tech. They wanted me to kind of be the assistant tech director.
Okay.
And so I actually went to the first table read, wasn't supposed to because tech doesn't come in until, later on in the production. And they didn't have everyone there. So Mr. Green had me read for one of the parts.
I feel like I remember that.
And in doing so, asked me more questions, and I went up on stage and he had me sing a little bit. And at the end of the night, he said, "Look, I really want you to strongly consider being in the production, like on stage.
That's really cool.
In the booth." And so, I mean, from there,
that's where your journey began.
Yeah, that's where the journey began. He sounded very confident in me. I was not confident at all, and tried it out. And from there, it was Similitude, and now this. So
what was it like with the first rehearsals when you thought you were going to be in the tech area, and then all of a sudden
for The Great Day?
Yeah, for The Great Day.
It was weird because I had never done that before, and going in and kind of acting in front of people and then singing in front of people. I mean, I sing in the doesn't everyone sing in the shower? Okay. I sing in the shower. But I never
My son sing in the shower.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, it's funny though, because I think we're overlooking something else. You weren't just Genghis Khan Smith. You were one of the Wickershams.
Oh yeah.
So talking about singing and dancing, like
that's a whole different role too.
You went from being this very rigid character to,
Yeah. So we went from The Great Day, which was much more vocal based and kind of story driven, to Similitude, which was kind of everything, I would say. It had a little bit of everything. But in Similitude, I was thrown in and they said, "Hey, you should do this tap dance. We want you in this tap dance." And I was like, well, first off, I haven't danced at all in my life, let alone tapped. Tap is a whole different animal than just dancing. Yeah. Granted, it helped that it was drawn out that long, I guess.
Sure.
Gave me a little more time to get better. But that was crazy. That was my first dance. And then this was much more like upfront because it was really just me and 3 other people as the Wickershams. It's crazy. I just looking at where I started literally a year and a half ago to where I am now, it's pretty amazing.
Michael, why do you think that Dr. Seuss' message is so powerful in today's day and in our age?
I think with all the stuff going on now, we have a lot of Black Lives Matter stuff and
cancel culture.
Yeah, cancel culture. There's a lot of talk around abortion and stuff. And so obviously the main message from the show is a person's a person, no matter how small. And so, of course, my first thought when that's said is pointing towards abortion and the fact that no matter how early on it is or how late it is, it's never okay, because that is a person that's actively growing.
I'll go as far as to say this. I think it's easy to discredit something that you don't know, it's like, I mean, I know enough about Dr. Seuss, but I'm not like this big avid person. So you're just like, oh, well, what did he say? What did he do? I think I knew enough where I'm just like, I'm not on this cancel culture bandwagon anyway.
Yeah.
But then when you start reading, some of the things in the books, like you said, a person's a person, no matter how small. The places you'll go, the things you can think, just all these inspirational phrases that are really principles and really God principles that Dr. Seuss is implying. Yeah. And it's just like, I think that those messages are very vital. And I honestly feel that the most vital messages that we can receive are also the most simple. Yeah. And I think, a lot of times now we're complicating, like, well, it's not that easy. It's like, but it is.
It is. It really is.
It's not always convenient. It's not always easy.
Yeah. So, I mean, even Dr. Seuss, all of his messages, most of them or all of them are super positive and they're super easy to get something out of. And personally, I work with the youth ministry at my church every Sunday night. And I mainly work with the middle school
awesome.
group. Yeah, which is 5th through 7th grade for us. And of course, the messages that we give them aren't super deep, not all the time, because it is 5th through 7th graders, and you kind of have to adjust to that. But even just talking about the message for that age group, it's so easy to get something out of it.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to dive super deep into the Bible to find a nugget that can change something in you.
But it's interesting too, because I feel like as life becomes more complex, you find out how deep that truth actually runs.
Yeah.
You know, it may be a simple truth, but truth is unmoving, you know, and so life gets more complicated, and this situation is not as clean cut, but truth is such an anchor. As believers, we don't have to adopt a new doctrine that goes with the life I'm living now. It's like, no, it still applies. That's why I love Seussical. You know, Similitude was a really good show, but I think that there are probably points when it was probably very strong for, you know, younger kids, you know, like City of Destruction, people come looking, you know.
Yeah,
like
for
they're zombies.
Yeah.
But Seussical, it's such a show that, of course, you know, it can be catered to kids, and, you know, they got, you know, little cats like this thing here, and Horton over there on, you know, floor somewhere. But, you know, as an adult, you can appreciate it as well, because, you know, the message in it's not going over your head either, you know, and you're also very aware of what the message your child is receiving. So you have to receive that message as well, you know, and receive the truth in. And I just think it's really awesome that such a simple message is so versatile.
And it came just at the right time, like you said.
Yeah.
So
Can you make that sound like that you did, that grumbling sound?
you're welcome.
That's exactly what I thought too.
This is so, I am an adult. Okay. Michael, it's been fun having you on the show, man. Probably
you.
a little too much fun.
It's been super fun being here.
And
This was awesome.
We look forward to seeing you in the next production.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
You're the biggest blindfold in the jungle of new, and I don't care who I tell. Biggest blindfold in the jungle of new, and I think so. Once again, we want to thank you guys for watching this episode. But before we go, we just want to inform you guys about what's going on with Studio Poema.
That's right, Luke. This coming fall, Studio Poema is opening up its doors to the community. So we're going to be offering different types of levels of dance, ballet, tap, intermediate, advanced, jazz. There'll be mime classes. It's going to be extremely just creative. And we're really excited about it. So we're really getting the news out to the community through our website.
Nice.
And for those of you moms and dads who are interested in putting your kids, or if you want to be in it yourself, you can definitely check out our website. And we have a lot of information regarding the scheduling and the prices and what the classes entail. So we're very excited about that.
Yeah, check that out. Why is this cat still on the table?
Because he likes you.
Okay, that's creepy, first of all, but it still doesn't answer the question. And what is this thing on his back? It's like he's got like, I feel very uncomfortable with like this. He's got like a jetpack strapped to the back here.
Prop holder for
No,
him.
he looks like a hostage.
You
Either
know
that
he
or
might
he's
come
gonna
alive like at midnight.
That doesn't make me feel any better, Angel. You know what? Thank you. We'll see you guys next time.